The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? So, you're telling me you have 100 days to get pregnant or they'll kill you and your husband won't touch you? Oh, if you cheat on him, they'll still kill you. What is a girl to do? Find out as Amber and Scott discuss 100 Nights of Hero. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
Well, this movie was a real fuck or be fucked situation.
It was. Our main character, Cherry, found herself in quite a bind.
Well, yeah.
What do you mean?
But not the way she would have liked to have been bound.
Okay, yeah, ha, ha, ha. Okay. Hey, folks, welcome.
Hey-o.
This episode of Cinema IRL, we are discussing 100 Nights of Hero. When her neglected husband departs after placing a secret wager to test her fidelity, Cherry and her sharp-witted maid, Hero, must fend off a dangerously seductive visitor, Manfred.
I don't know if he's dangerously seductive, but...
He was dangerously seductive.
I mean, he made a wager with the guy that if I can bang your wife, I get your house.
Yeah.
That kind of feels like there's no downside to him trying to bang his wife.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there was no downside for Manfred at all. And really to kind of capsulize what world we are in, we're in some world that feels kind of Victorian age, but they're somewhere unearthly because there are 3 moons. And the land is ruled by the Beak Brothers and Birdman, and they expect...
Birdman is God.
And they expect every woman to be pregnant, I don't know, maybe within, give or take a month after getting married.
Actually, I think they were thinking more like give or take a couple days.
Yeah, because they said once you get married, we want you to have a baby in 7 months, which I was doing the math on that. I'm like, okay. So we have Cherry, who has gotten married to her husband. She is willing and able to consummate and have a baby, but I don't know, maybe her husband is... They didn't say he was, they didn't say he was gay, but he clearly had no interest in having any physical relationship with Cherry. Okay, so that's one thing. That's just one thing all on its own. However, in this weird land governed by the Beak Brothers, Cherry has to now be pregnant within 100 nights, or I don't know, she dies.
Yeah, like I said up front, it was a real fuck or be fucked situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, if she doesn't get to the banging and making of the heirs, she's fucked.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's dead.
Remind me to mark this episode as explicit.
There's no reason it had to be. So her husband basically has a visitor who is Manfred, who is talking about how his wife cheated with a worker at the house, and because she cheated in this world, if you cheat, you are a whore and you're killed. Do you see a theme here? Anything happens with a woman and they're killed.
It's not female friendly. It's very pro-patriarch.
It is indeed. So they're kind of laughing about how his wife got killed, and they make a wager because Cherry's husband, he seems, not only is he disinterested in having sex with Cherry, but he does not seem to even care about her enough to realize the urgency that she is facing imminent death unless she gets pregnant. So he makes a deal with Manfred saying, okay, well, I'm going to leave the castle and my wife is chaste. She will never be interested in you because Manfred thinks he's hot stuff. And the Cherry's husband says, well, my wife is chaste. She's devoted. She will never be with you. And
does he realize that he hasn't touched her once? And that girl, you could tell she wanted to be touched. And she, I think, got to the point there where she's like, I'll take it from wherever it comes from. Not in a hoary type way, but like in a way where she felt like it was going to be okay. I mean, he asked to see her bedroom and she fainted.
Well, Manfred did. I mean, we're jumping ahead. So let's finish setting up the story here. So the husband says, there's no way my wife will be with you. And I'm so confident that I will win. When I win this wager, you need to get me a child so we can have a child. And basically, that's going to be his way of resolving this situation. Not so much to even keep Cherry from being dead, but more to protect his manhood, I think. And Manfred is like, yeah, no, I'm gonna bed your wife. And when I do, you're going to give me this castle and everything that's in it. So off the husband goes for an undetermined amount of days, but the two guys know it's 100 days. He's gone for the entire time that Cherry is supposed to get pregnant.
Yeah, so, that's the thing. She doesn't know that.
No, knows none of this.
But she also is aware of the clock on this one.
Yeah, and she's disturbed that he's leaving for a couple of days, not realizing that he's gone the whole time, and she's up a creek. So ultimately, I don't know, a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks or so in, Manfred drops the bomb of like, oh yeah, no, he's gone for an indefinite amount of time.
Yeah, he ain't coming back anytime soon.
Yeah, so at that point, Cherry's in a situation because she needs to get pregnant and be pregnant within those 100 days, but also, too, they live in this society where if you are and I'm putting this in quotes, a whore, you die. So
yeah,
she is in the worst possible situation.
Yeah, if you don't get me an heir, you die. If you sleep with someone else, you die.
Yeah, and the only reason she'd be doing that is to get pregnant to save her life. It's not like she's out whoring it up trying to get some. She's trying to stay alive.
Yeah, this is really about...
Aside from wanting to be touched, which is normal, she's more specifically trying to not be dead.
Yeah, it's a very bad position that she's in here.
It is. So what would you do if you were Cherry's husband, or Manfred, the dangerously seductive visitor? Pick one, anyone.
Okay. If I'm Manfred, I am putting the full court press on. I am doing everything I can to bed this chick.
Well, and he thinks he's doing a great job because on day 2, he shows up walking up the path, the driveway, essentially, to the castle.
Coated in blood.
Covered in blood with a dead animal's neck and head, carrying that for meat for them to eat, shirtless, soaked in blood. So he thinks like, oh yeah, no, this is going to work. And what ends up happening is Hero, who is Cherry's maid, tending to her needs and helping her groom herself and whatnot, is employed to help Cherry, where if Cherry feels uncomfortable around him because he is a man in the house while her husband is away and she's trying to maintain an appropriate distance and relationship, that for any reason Cherry feels awkward or uncomfortable, that Hero is going to jump in with telling a story.
Yeah, Hero was a legendary cockblock. Call it is. It's a legendary cockblock.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with it. That's the role she was playing.
Okay, yeah.
Not to mention, I think it's very clear that she kind of had designs on Cherry herself. So she's like, well, I'm going to keep you from sleeping with someone else. Keep you for me.
So back to my question. What would you do if you were Cherry's husband or Manfred?
Well, I've already said what I would do if I'm Manfred. It's full court press.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Everything to...
I fell asleep there for a minute.
Yeah, so did Manfred.
Yes, okay. Well, obviously, yeah, you're working it to get the castle, not the girl, because the girl's going to be murdered when you're successful. So, yeah, you're checking out the real estate of, where's my wine cellar? Where's my master bedroom? Where are, my gardens? Because this place is going to be mine. as he's thinking that in the back of his head, trying to win this wager.
I mean, and if I'm Hero, I'm pretty much doing what Hero does is, like, I'm not letting you out of my sight, mister.
Yeah, she takes her job as maid to Cherry very seriously and wants to keep her safe.
Well, I think she took her job as Cherry's friend seriously.
Yeah.
More so than being the maid.
Well, and I think in periods where they had maids for women, I think there was a closeness because they were the ones who listened to you and, you know, supported you when your husband, I don't know, smacked you around or did whatever terrible thing they used to do in those days, that was the person who was always there. And then I think we've seen so many films where you think there's a friendship and then the person who is the employer says, you know, who do you think you are? We're not friends. That's so many films. But anyway, Cherry definitely was respectful to Hero, and Hero wanted to keep Cherry safe.
So, if I'm Cherry, well, first it depends on how much knowledge I have about myself and how babies are made.
Okay, what do you mean?
Basically, sort of, you have your moon cycle. And if she knows where in that cycle she's fertile, then this is a different conversation.
I don't think they had like period tracking back in the olden days.
Well, if you have 100 days to get pregnant, I think you might just go manual on this one and kind of that's
Go
again
manual?
yes, manually tracking. She's not going to log it in the
I don't
app.
know that people knew to do that back then.
Well, I don't
that
know.
Doesn't feel...
I don't know either. But I mean, here's the thing: if back then, now, I mean,
they didn't
like
have Oura rings.
28 days is 28 days. You don't need an Oura ring to be like, oh, I'm bleeding from my coochie.
Wow, there's so many words in this episode. Yes, coochie. So, but I don't know if Cherry knew that, oh, gee, getting pregnant is related to my period.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and that's why I said there's two answers here. One if she did and one if she didn't. If she did, then she can basically calendar out, I have X fertile cycles left. And if I'm at my second to last fertile cycle before and
so what I'm hearing is if you were Cherry, you would get an Oura ring with a period tracker.
Well, no, you don't need a period tracker. You just need to check when you're bleeding, roughly. My point is that if you have...
you know if you're bleeding. You don't have to check.
Yeah. If you have 2 cycles left, you're like, well, I need to produce here, and I'm running out of time. So at a certain point, you're just like, come on, Manfred. You're here. You'll do. It's not that I want to cheat on my husband. It's that I want to survive.
But the problem is that Cherry has not consummated with her husband. So if she's all of a sudden pregnant, not knowing that there is this deal between these two men, then all of a sudden she's pregnant. She is outing herself having cheated on her husband. So she is in a no-win situation because she's supposed to die in this society if she sleeps with someone else or if she doesn't get pregnant. So
yeah, well, how many people still believe Mary was a virgin? A lot. I'm just saying, it's a miracle. Immaculate conception.
okay.
I mean, here's the thing. You're screwed either way.
But this is also a time where if a woman can do something, she's called a witch. So the last thing you want to do is declare a miracle pregnancy because basically you're saying, hey, I'm a witch, and that's another reason to kill me.
Well, we'll see. It's not the last thing. The last thing you want to do is not get pregnant because if you're not pregnant, they're going to kill you. And that's the 100% guarantee.
I mean, they burn witches at the stake who were pregnant.
Oh, I'm not saying that they wouldn't.
Not that they burn the.
I'm not saying that this plan would work for her at all. And if I don't understand tracking, when it gets down to 30 or so days left, then I'm probably just like, okay, listen, this isn't what I had in mind. Because here's the thing. Yeah, not being pregnant is your number one. You will die. And that's what you know. So when that scenario is guaranteed death, then you have to start looking at, okay, what is my 99% of death?
Okay.
Like,
so,
I mean, it's bad odds all the way around, but the best odds, frankly, are getting pregnant by Manfred and going immaculate conception.
okay.
She's going to die at the stake, but it's still her best option.
I beg to differ.
She gets some then.
I think your what would you do is a very extreme end of the spectrum. Here's what I would do if I was Cherry. I would talk to my husband before we went back to this Big Brother's tribunal who decides who lives and who dies. And I would say, listen, we're married. We should be having relations so I can produce an heir for you. But if you're not going to do that for me, I'm going to stick a pillow in my dress and we are going to tell them I am pregnant. Then there will be some sort of accident and whatever, but I'm not going to die because whatever your issues are that you will not sleep with me. Like, Cherry needs to speak up and use her voice, and the way to not die isn't necessarily to cheat, but it's to grow the F up and have an actual adult conversation with her husband.
Well, for one, you don't have an adult conversation because the husbands tell you, unfortunately, in that society.
But you have to advocate for yourself if you're going to die.
Yes, I do agree with that. Man,
Or blackmail him and saying, listen, I'm not dying because you refuse to touch me. I will go into that tribunal and say, I would love to be pregnant, but Dodo head over here will not touch me. Every night he says, not tonight, not tonight, not tonight. And we have not even consummated our marriage. Well, maybe she actually dies, but she can take him down with her.
Well, that's
go, Cherry.
That said, I mean, if we're putting the IRL into no IRL,
yeah, that's what we do.
I believe, and I'd have to look this up, I believe there actually are laws in place about if you get married, that you basically have to consummate your marriage. Like, you got to give it up at least once. And if not, then the marriage is essentially nullified.
I mean, that's been in tons of movies that you can file an annulment if you haven't consummated the marriage. I don't know how true that is.
I'll look it up afterwards.
And especially today, that feels very antiquated.
I'll look it up afterwards, but I feel like it's because that's the thing. You expect that if two people are getting married, they're going to bone at least once.
Not necessarily. You have to look at the time period. Lots of times women were traded as like, okay, well, you're of age, you can't live here anymore, so basically take your hope chest and your pieces of china and your hand-knitted quilt, and we're giving you to this guy, and it's this guy's responsibility to take care of you now. There's certainly not necessarily always a let's get it on because we love each other vibe going on. Women back in that era were passed around as property. I mean,
again, if we're running desperation situations here,
I think this time period is a desperate situation.
Yeah, just in general. Eventually you have to make the point, my husband and I haven't consummated our marriage, just we don't have a marriage. Hey, Manfred, let's get hitched. And then you marry him so you can bone him. Now, he might come back, his husband might come back and be like, what the hell happened? And she'd be like, you didn't touch me, bitch.
Wow, I get another reason to mark this episode.
Sorry, you didn't touch me, bitch.
Yeah, no, I think that's another reasonable thing is Cherry has just got to take her fate into her own hands, and whether that is, talking to him or finding some other way to get knocked up, or just saying Manfred and not realizing there's any side deal with Manfred and her husband saying, this is what's happening. I need to not die. Can you help me not die? But Manfred, in the end, ends up actually caring about Cherry. Cherry's husband comes back, catches them in a romantic moment. They haven't actually slept together yet. And when given, and Manfred says, oh, I love her, I want to marry her, and I want your castle, and you can go and I won't tell your dirty little secret about not consummating the marriage. But then when the husband was like, I'm going to tell the Big Brothers, and whose side are you on? Then Manfred the dangerously seductive visitor puts his tail between his legs and whimpers off, saying, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry." Blah, blah, blah. Blah. Wow, to talk about in a split second making someone from sexy to ugly when they just don't have any spine.
So, I guess again we're looking at the IRL part.
Okay.
There is a thing where a marriage may be voidable if one party was physically incapable of having sexual intercourse at the time of the marriage, and this incapacity is incurable and was unknown to the other spouse.
Oh, okay.
I.e., I didn't know my husband was gay.
Yeah, initially I expected him to somehow hit on Manfred when Manfred first came over. I thought, okay, well, here we're going to go. And they did a good job of making you feel like Hero was gay, and they did a good job of making you feel like Cherry's husband was gay, but they never blatantly said anything. But
Well, I'm also noticing that in canon law, like Catholic Church type law, which seems to be kind of similar to what they were doing, like your marriage can be dissolved simply based on not consummating because it's considered an incomplete sacramental bond.
yeah. Okay.
Now, again, I don't know how these laws apply to places with 3 moons.
Yes, and places ruled by the Beak Brothers and Beakman. Yeah, they probably have their own little quirky set of rules. So
It just goes to show life, like, society's better without religion. Because it seemed like they were fine and happy until Birdman came in and interjected and made himself a little too omnipotent one day and got everyone to fear him.
yeah, and then what we also have woven into this, whatever this world or time period is that women aren't allowed to read. Women aren't allowed to have much of any information or education. And if they do, they're witches. And then, see aforementioned, they die.
But apparently they're allowed to know chess and falconry.
Yes, that definitely is part of the gig, because part of Hero's telling of the story when Cherry feels awkward is talking about these 3 sisters and how they secretly wrote stories and read and ultimately were thought of as witches. And then Hero has books and she's a witch. And
Yeah,
you're a witch, everyone's a witch.
And if we go into the story within a story here, Rosa.
Yeah, she was one of the characters in Hero's story.
Yeah, like she knows that she's not allowed to read or write. So how do you think that's going to go when you put something on the window? Like, you probably expect that your husband can, but if he can, then he knows you can.
Okay, so
It means you're screwed.
Okay, so someone, if it hasn't seen this, they don't know what you're talking about. So Rosa is passed off to someone to marry her, and she has to leave her sisters, and she doesn't really have any interest in marrying, and they don't really know each other. But over time, he loves her, and she loves him, and she's actually surprisingly happy with it. But she has this secret of that she can read and write. And one time in an intimate moment of like, I love you, you know, I'm so happy kind of, you know, vibes, she writes in the fog on the window, I love you. And he's like, what is that kind of sorcery? What was that symbol? What were you doing?
What was that spell?
Yeah, and because he can't read, he just knows she wrote something. And that is an interesting topic to explore, because when you trust someone, she trusted him and thought that their love and their bond was strong enough that she could share that, be like, I love you. But he was like, you're a witch and you die.
Yeah. I think the moral of the story is never trust a man. I mean,
Well, I mean, what would you do here is, what would you do if you are in this marriage and you feel like you both love each other and you have this secret and you want to share it? Do you do it?
no. No. Not if my secret is sinful and illegal. Like, if all of a sudden I started telling you about my My child trafficking business.
Okay, let's.
I'm
not
sorry. I'm
complete-
sorry. I mean my hypothetical child trafficking.
Oh my gosh!
business.
If this episode doesn't get pulled, I don't know what.
No, seriously. Like, if I came to you and was like, something you don't know about me, I traffic children, you'd be like, what the because you love me, you trust me, but you're like, that is not something I knew you. That is not something I'm okay with.
That is not okay.
Get the F out.
That is not okay, and you die.
Yeah, I die.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.